What happens when a bright young nursing student vanishes into thin air on a snowy February night, leaving behind only a damaged car and a web of lies that would puzzle investigators for decades? Welcome to Sherlock Mode. February 9, 2004. The University of Massachusetts campus was buzzing with the usual Monday energy. Students hurried between classes, their breath visible in the cold winter air. But in one dorm room, something was terribly wrong. 21-year-old Maura Murray, a dedicated nursing student with bright green eyes and a smile that could light up any room, was packing her belongings with an urgency that no one could understand. Her hands trembled slightly as she folded clothes and gathered personal items, as if she was running from something invisible yet terrifying. Maura was not just any ordinary student. She was a former West Point cadet, an accomplished athlete who excelled in basketball and cross-country running. Her family described her as someone who never wanted to burden anyone, always pushing herself to be perfect. But beneath that perfect exterior, cracks were beginning to show. The past few days had been a nightmare for this young woman who prided herself on never disappointing anyone. Just days before her disappearance, Maura received a phone call at her campus job that left her so upset she had to leave work early. Her supervisor watched in concern as tears filled her eyes and her usual bright demeanor crumbled. What was in that phone call? Who had the power to shake this strong young woman to her very core? The answers to these questions would haunt investigators for years to come. The emotional turmoil continued when Maura learned that her sister Kathleen, who had been battling alcohol addiction, had relapsed. For someone like Maura, who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders, this news was devastating. But the worst was yet to come. While driving her father's car due to her own vehicle troubles, Maura crashed into a guardrail, causing thousands of dollars in damage. Her father Fred later said she was absolutely distraught, more upset than he had ever seen her. Maura was her own worst critic, and the thought of disappointing her father was eating her alive. She had always been the dependable one, the one who had it all together. Now, everything was falling apart. Her nursing program required reliable transportation, and here she was, responsible for damaging her father's car. The pressure was building like a volcano ready to explode, and something had to give. Monday, February 9th started like any other day, but there was something different about Maura's actions. At 3:32 in the morning, while most students were fast asleep, she was awake, turning in her homework assignment. Who works on homework at such an hour if they plan to disappear forever? This detail would later become crucial in understanding her state of mind. She was planning for a future, not an ending. As the day progressed, Maura made several phone calls that painted a picture of someone planning a getaway, not a permanent departure. She called a condo owner in Bartlett, New Hampshire, asking about renting a space where her family had vacationed before. She also contacted an information line about booking hotels in Vermont. These were not the actions of someone planning to vanish forever, but of someone seeking escape from overwhelming pressure. But then came the lie that would define this case. Around 2 p.m., Maura sent an email to her supervisor, claiming she needed to take a week off due to a death in the family. Her fingers hesitated over the keyboard as she typed the false words. There had been no death, no family emergency. Just a young woman so desperate to escape her problems that she was willing to lie to buy herself time. But time for what? Maura also picked up important paperwork that day, including accident forms for her father's car and documents to reinstate her suspended driver's license. These forms suggested she planned to see her father soon, to face the consequences of the crash and try to make things right. She was not running away from her life, she was trying to fix it. At 4 p.m., surveillance cameras captured Maura at an ATM, withdrawing money. She wore a dark jacket and jeans, her expression serious and determined. This would be the last confirmed sighting of her alive. The young woman who walked away from that ATM was about to become one of America's most mysterious missing persons. In just a few hours, her name would be known across the country, but for all the wrong reasons. Maura packed her black Saturn sedan with personal belongings, including her stuffed animal, makeup, diamond jewelry, and strangely, a book called Not Without Peril about mountain climbing accidents in the White Mountains. Was this choice of reading material a coincidence, or a dark foreshadowing of what was to come? She also packed alcohol, a box of wine, and beer, as if preparing for a solitary retreat to sort through her troubles. The drive from the University of Massachusetts to northern New Hampshire would take about 2.5 hours. As Maura's black Saturn traveled through the winter evening, snow began to fall more heavily. The roads became treacherous, and visibility decreased with each passing mile. She was heading into the White Mountains, a region known for its beauty but also for its danger. Many who venture into these mountains unprepared never return. Route 112, also known as Wild Ammonoosuc Road, winds through some of New Hampshire's most remote and unforgiving terrain. It was here, on a sharp corner near the small village of Woodsville in Haverhill, that Maura's journey would come to an abrupt and mysterious end. The road was covered in snow, making driving conditions extremely dangerous for even experienced drivers. At exactly 7:27 p.m., the tranquil winter evening was shattered by the sound of crunching metal and breaking glass. A local woman, sitting in the warmth of her home, heard the unmistakable sound of a car accident right outside her door. She rushed to her window and saw a black Saturn sedan that had clearly been in some kind of collision. The car sat at an odd angle, damaged but not destroyed. Within minutes, a passing motorist who lived nearby stopped to help. This was Butch Atwood, a school bus driver returning home from his route. He approached the damaged Saturn and saw a young woman standing beside it. She appeared uninjured but clearly shaken. When he offered assistance, she politely declined, claiming she had already called roadside assistance. Butch noticed she didn't seem intoxicated, despite what police reports would later claim. She seemed coherent, just upset about the accident. Something about the encounter troubled Butch. The young woman seemed nervous, almost eager for him to leave. There was no cell phone service in this remote area, so how could she have called for help? His years of driving school buses had taught him to trust his instincts when something felt wrong. And everything about this situation felt very, very wrong. Butch drove the short distance to his home and immediately called 911 to report the accident. He wanted to make sure the young woman got the help she needed, even if she insisted she didn't need any. His call was logged at 7:27 p.m., and he specifically mentioned that there was a woman at the scene who appeared to need assistance. This call would become a crucial piece of evidence in understanding the timeline of Maura's disappearance. As Butch made his call, something was happening back at the accident scene that would change everything. The young woman, who we now know was Maura Murray, was making a decision that would puzzle investigators for decades. She was choosing to leave her car behind and walk into the darkness of the New Hampshire wilderness on one of the coldest nights of the year. At 7:46 p.m., just 19 minutes after the initial 911 call, New Hampshire State Police arrived at the scene. Their flashlights cut through the darkness as they approached the abandoned Saturn. The engine was still warm, the headlights were on, and the doors were unlocked. But Maura Murray was nowhere to be found. It was as if she had simply vanished into the mountain air. Inside the car, police discovered a collection of items that would raise more questions than answers. There were red stains that appeared to be wine, an empty beer bottle, and a damaged box of wine. They found her AAA card, the accident report form she had picked up earlier, her makeup, diamond jewelry, and that ominous book about mountain climbing disasters. But missing were her cell phone, her debit card, and any clue about where she might have gone. Most puzzling was the discovery of a random Chrysler car part inside Maura's Saturn. This detail would become significant when investigators learned that a suspicious white Jeep Grand Cherokee, manufactured by Chrysler, had been spotted 7 miles from the accident scene. When police approached that vehicle, it fled. Was this connected to Maura's disappearance? The white scuff mark on her Saturn's rear bumper suggested it might be. A private vehicle reconstruction expert later analyzed Maura's car and made a shocking discovery. The damage was not consistent with hitting a tree, as the police report stated. The hood was pushed back and buckled in the middle, and the radiator support was bent in a way that suggested the car was moving when the damage occurred. This meant that whatever caused the damage happened while Maura was driving, not while she was stopped or parked. The implications of this finding are chilling. If Maura's car was damaged in a collision with another vehicle while she was driving, it might not have been a simple single-car accident at all. It could have been something far more sinister. Was Maura forced off the road? Was she the victim of a hit-and-run that turned into something worse? The white Jeep Cherokee that fled from police suddenly seemed much more significant. As news of Maura's disappearance spread, search teams combed the wilderness surrounding Route 112. The White Mountains in February are brutally cold, with temperatures dropping well below freezing. Without proper winter gear, a person could not survive more than a few hours in these conditions. Yet despite extensive searches by police, volunteers, and search dogs, no trace of Maura was ever found. The official investigation initially treated Maura's case as a possible suicide or voluntary disappearance. Police pointed to her recent troubles, the false email about a family death, and her secretive travel plans as evidence that she wanted to disappear. But her family vehemently disagreed. They knew Maura better than anyone, and they insisted she would never abandon her life or cause them such pain intentionally. Maura's father, Fred Murray, became a tireless advocate for finding his daughter. He organized search parties, appeared on television shows, and never stopped believing that Maura was out there somewhere, waiting to be found. The pain in his eyes spoke of a father's worst nightmare, the agony of not knowing what happened to his child. Every lead, no matter how small, gave him hope that this day might be the day he would get answers. Years passed without any significant breakthroughs. The case went cold, but it never went away. In 2009, Maura's case was transferred to the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit, where it was officially reclassified as a suspicious missing persons case. This meant that investigators no longer believed Maura had simply chosen to disappear. Something had happened to her, something criminal. The case gained national attention when it was featured on television shows like 2020 and Disappeared. Internet forums and message boards buzzed with theories about what might have happened to Maura. Some believed she had been abducted by a stranger. Others thought she had met with foul play from someone she knew. A few still clung to the theory that she had somehow managed to start a new life somewhere else. In 2017, the Oxygen Network produced a documentary series about Maura's case, calling her disappearance the first crime mystery of the social media age. The case had indeed taken on a life of its own online, with armchair detectives analyzing every detail and proposing countless theories. But despite all the attention and speculation, Maura remained missing. In 2024, 20 years after Maura's disappearance, the FBI released an age progression photo showing what she might look like today. The image showed a woman in her early 40s, her face bearing the subtle lines of age but still recognizable as the bright-eyed nursing student who vanished that February night. The photo was a reminder that somewhere out there, Maura might still be alive, might still be waiting to come home. Recently, the University of Massachusetts Police Department released their files on Maura's case, providing new insights into her final days. These documents revealed more details about the mysterious party on campus and the story of how her ID may have been found in a junkyard. Each new piece of information added another layer to the puzzle, but the complete picture remained frustratingly out of reach. Today, Maura Murray would be 43 years old. If she is still alive, she has missed 21 years of life with her family. She never finished her nursing degree, never got married, never had children of her own. Her disappearance has become one of America's most enduring mysteries, a case that continues to haunt everyone who encounters it. Let us analyze this case like Sherlock Holmes would. Looking at the evidence, several possibilities emerge about what happened to Maura Murray that cold February night. First, the white Jeep Cherokee that fled from police 7 miles away. The presence of a Chrysler part in Maura's car and the white scuff mark on her bumper suggest a possible collision. Could the driver of this vehicle have struck Maura's car, then followed her to the accident scene to ensure she couldn't report the incident? Another possibility involves a local perpetrator. Route 112 is a remote area where someone familiar with the terrain could easily dispose of evidence. The fact that Maura vanished so completely in such a short time frame suggests someone who knew the area well. Perhaps a local resident saw an opportunity when they encountered a stranded young woman on a dark, isolated road. The alcohol found in Maura's car raises questions about her state of mind and decision-making ability. Was she impaired when she left her vehicle? This could explain why she made the seemingly irrational decision to walk into the wilderness. But it could also have made her vulnerable to someone with bad intentions who encountered her on the road. The false email about a family death suggests Maura was planning something, but the homework she turned in at 3 a.m. suggests she was also thinking about her future. This contradiction indicates a young woman in crisis, making impulsive decisions while still trying to maintain some normalcy in her life. This emotional state could have made her particularly vulnerable. The key to solving this case may lie in identifying the driver of the white Jeep Cherokee, analyzing the Chrysler part found in Maura's car, or finding witnesses who haven't yet come forward. After 21 years, someone out there knows what happened to Maura Murray. Someone holds the key to bringing her home and giving her family the answers they desperately need. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, like and subscribe to Sherlock Mode.